Well, as promised, we left the studio and we're going on location to do our third show. We're going to the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium location. It's a real sensitive area. It's across from Mandalay Bay, only 4 days removed from the tragic October 1st massacre. Erica, you know, when you talk about Vegas, you talk about big venues, you talk about big prize fights. A lot of people coming into town. New Year's Eve events. This is the town to handle the big crowds, to handle the huge events. We have the hotels, we have the venues, the entertainment, the restaurants, to handle these crowds, so for the people to come to town and have a really good time. What does that mean when we talk about Raiders football?
So it means we're hosting 8 home games with tons of visitors, locals. We're gonna have a lot of tailgate parties. The strip is gonna be packed. Imagine that, we're gonna have a Super Bowl here in Vegas soon.
We definitely will have a Super Bowl. There's been 52 Super Bowls played. 10 of them have been in Miami. New Orleans is about to get their 10th. So that's almost 2 towns that got half the Super Bowls. I see the same thing happening for Vegas. You're talking about on Sunday football in Vegas, it'll be totally electric when there's a home game. Eventually we're gonna get our press credentials and we'll be on the field. We're bringing you coverage from.
So watch out, you'll see more of us.
You'll see us on the field talking to the players. That's hopeful thinking, wishful thinking. All right, we'll see you at the location. Before we get started, you can see the Mandalay in the background and tragic events that happened on October 1st, just 4 days ago, and we'd like to take a moment of silence just to reflect on that. And we pray for all the souls and all the lives that were lost. Erica, tell us a little bit about where we're at.
All right, so over here we're in the middle of Russell, Hacienda, and Polaris. And the stadium sits on about 62 acres with a seating capacity of 65,000.
All right. You know, previous shows I had my quick hits, I had my unique perspective. I'm combining that now into what's called quick ups, and I want to get started with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson definitely had his trials and tribulations working his way up into the football, high school, college, made into the NFL. Finally makes it to the NFL. He's not the starter, then he's named the starter. Finally gets that first game check in his hand. He walks over to the cafeteria. 3 women had really been devastated by Hurricane Harvey. Takes that game check, and he gives it to those 3 women to help them out. And I think that's just a real good, feel-good story. Erica, do you have a amount on that game check?
Yeah, so the check is about $27,353.
So that's a significant amount.
A lot of money.
Before he ever gets paid, he gives that amount away. That's a nice story.
Such a sweetheart.
You know, I understand in the NFL, all scores are reviewed, and some are real easy to review. Guy catches a bomb, heads down the field, walks into the end zone. Another easy long run, walks into the end zone. Those are easy. The ones that are really bothering me now is where they have to review, was his knee down? Was he touched when he was down? They take their big guys, the defense gets their big guys, and they try to pound it into the end zone, almost like rugby style. I miss the running back leaping over the line, flying into the end zone like a Walter Payton, like a Marcus Allen. They just don't do that anymore. You know, Emmitt Smith even used to do it. And don't they measure how high they can jump, how long they can jump?
Yeah, they actually measure that at the combine. So they measure the long jump, how high the jump is, and that 40-yard dash.
Exactly. So now they won't let you jump over the pile to block a field goal, to block an extra point. So why are you measuring this? If you have a guy who really can jump long, he really can jump high, give him the ball, let him jump over the line, let him score a touchdown. We won't need the review. He's going to land in the end zone. I miss those plays where they would hand off the guy, he would be met, he didn't meet it. Then they'd line up in that same formation. They'd fake hand off to the guy, he would jump up in the air, they'd stop him, and then there's the quarterback walking into the end zone. I don't see those plays anymore, and I do miss them.
I miss him too.
You know, Cam Newton is the first quarterback to rush for 50 touchdowns. And Cam Newton was in the news. He said a couple days ago about how it was funny how a female reporter knew about route running, and the media is piling on this guy. If he changes one word and said it was enlightening how a woman knew about routes, I think he gets a lot less backlash.
I agree.
Here's the thing about that female reporter, Jordan Rodriguez. After he says that, she gets super offended. I would have said something like, it's funny how I know a lot about passer ratings, quarterback ratings, which his isn't good right now. Quarterback completion ratios, which his isn't that great now. She could have even said something to the effect of, I know a lot about when there's a loose ball, you should jump on it, especially in the Super Bowl. I think she could have took a more strong approach and showed her knowledge instead of like, oh man, this is setting women back so far, we've come so far. It's getting a little bit of blown out of proportion, in my opinion. Erica, you saw the clip. What's your opinion?
Yes, Carmine. So I did see the clip, and after watching it, my thoughts were he could have just answered the question right away. Honestly, he was acting a little immature, and when he mentioned the gender profiling, that was not necessary. But I do agree that she could have went back at him, kind of, stepped her foot down, but instead she let the media just take over. So
yeah, exactly right. On our first show on 9/15, we had suggested if players didn't want to stand for the national anthem, they should stay in the locker room. 3 teams did exactly that on 9/24, the Seahawks, the Steelers, and the Titans. It did not go over well. There was backlash. We had mentioned it. I'm not saying they saw our show and they did it, but it did happen. Roger Goodell is currently looking for a solution where he's able to let these players voice their opinion. Again, going back to our first show, we said it, let them introduce themselves. Instead of plugging the college, which has plenty of money, plug what you believe in a website and take it that way. Yeah, and I think Roger Goodell really might do this.
he could actually do it if he wanted to.
We talked about a terrible field in Oakland, and man, it is horrible.
So bad.
We got a second worst field, and I'm going to keep calling out these fields as weather changes and the field gets worse. FedEx Field, the Redskins field, is nothing but fake sod. It's just rolled down grass. It's lumpy. It's terrible. Talk about player safety. Talk about protecting these players. RG3 injured his knee there. Adrian Peterson injured his knee there. These were devastating year-ending injuries. Get that field together. It's the worst. How hard is it? How hard is it to grow grass, especially in that end of the country? It's basically nice weather. I do want to mention, I like cool names in the NFL. This guy's got a real cool name, DJ Swearinger.
Swearinger.
DJ Swearinger.
Try to say that 10 times fast. Swearinger.
What do you got on him?
All right, so he's in the strong safety. He's on the Redskins. He is 5'10", 206, and he hits hard. So Carmine, what's got you fired up?
I'll tell you what's got me fired up, and it's these London games, and I hate them. As you know, 2 teams travel to London. One team is considered the away team, one team is considered the home team. So that means that instead of 8 home games, one of those teams only has 7 home games. They're considering that London game a home game. So that person who sells hot dogs at the stadiums has a local bar that's walking distance from the stadium. All lost income, all lost revenue. That guy who sells pretzels and he makes that couple extra dollars on 8 home games. He doesn't get that for one of those home games. Who gets that revenue? Who benefits from that? London. We do not benefit from that. London only. And I did some calculations and I found out some numbers for you. Now, the average NFL team travels 12,800 miles per year. From Jacksonville to London, it's 4,300 miles. From Jacksonville to the furthest stadium in our country, San Francisco, is 2,800 miles. So they're traveling 1,500 miles. What that all means is that a team potentially going to London, which is total BS, a team will never go to London, they have to travel twice as much as a team staying within the United States. So how is that benefiting a team, benefiting injuries, recovery time? It's not. It's, again, player safety. It's not going to happen. London games need to stop. London games only benefit London, not us. Takes away dollars from us. And what time did what time did they start these games? What time did they air these games?
6 a.m. They start at 6 a.m.
I have not seen one yet.
It's so early, Carmine.
Only thing I've seen on that was the highlights. I've not seen any of those games. I feel like I miss a game every time they go to London. And there's 4 games this year. I want them to end. Just get rid of them. Erica, before you get into your close, just want to let everyone know that we're available to come to your business, do a show, have some fun with your employees, have some fun with your customers, talk about football. Here is our email address. Email us. We'll make it worth your time.
Thank you guys again for staying tuned. It's been a couple weeks since we came back, and we just want to let you know thank you for all the support and the love. Follow us on Fired Up Football, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll answer all your questions, comments, concerns, all that. And
well, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Definitely see you next week.